Hey gang, and welcome back. These videos are brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your unused collection fast and easily. 401 Games, Canada's top shop for all your hobby and TCG needs. Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. Moxfield, the easiest way to store and share your deck lists. And Foil Armor, flatten your foils fast. Arja wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws and plays an untapped Godless Shrine, taking 2 to cast Viscera. I've just got a Swamp and cast Skull Clamp. Max plays a Wooded Foothills, sacking it and losing 1 to find a land as he passes to Matt. Mathieu just plays a Command Tower. Arja's got a Rugged Prairie, paying 2 mana for an early Putrid Goblin, and then hits Mathieu for 1 with the Viscera. He ships it after that. I play a Shizo Death Storehouse and pass. Max plays an Island and then casts Search for Azcanta. Mathieu plays a tapped Temple of Enlightenment, scrying 1. Arja's turn has him playing a Mountain and then casting Lock Treasure Hunter. Going to combat, Arja sends his 2 creatures at me and they connect and he passes. I display a Swamp and cast a Morbid Opportunist. Max's upkeep has him milling the card from the Search for Azcanta trigger, and he then draws her turn. He plays an Exotic Orchard, and checking mana, is able to cast Terra. She then mills 5 cards as she enters, and he returns the Birth of Meletis from his graveyard to his hand thanks to Terra's trigger. Mathieu draws, playing a Plains, and then casts an Archaeomancer's Map, going to find more plains to put to hand. He passes after that. Arja's got a Swamp, and casts an Agate Instigator, paying the Offspring cost. The copy comes in first and then the original, with the copy pinging everyone for seeing the original. Arja then swings Lock at Max, and the Putrid Goblin and Viscera at Matt. With Lock attacking, we all mill our top card, but hit no lands. Mathieu and Max then take their hit, and Arja then passes turn. My main phase has me drawing and casting Plaguecrafter, with Max and Arja sacrificing a creature, while Mathieu discards a card. I then play a Bojuka Bog, which as it comes in, exiles Max's graveyard. Max mills 1 in his upkeep, draws, and plays an Urza Saga. He then casts a Sanctum Weaver, and once that's out, follows with the Birth of Meletis, going to find a Plains. Mathieu's turn is quite quick as he plays an Urborg and then casts Y'shtola. Arja's turn has him drawing and casting Celes. As she comes in, he discards a Priest of Fellrights and draws 2 cards. He then sacrifices the Putrid Goblin and attempts to combo off, but Mathieu is ready with a Dismember to take out Celes. The Goblin does come back with a -1/-1 counter on it, and the Instigator deals a total of 1 from Celes and 1 from the Goblin. Going to combat, Arja swings Lock at Max, and we all mill our top card, hitting 3 lands, which gives Arja 1 treasure. He passes to me after that. I draw and cast Comeback Wrong, targeting the Instigator to take it out, and I then play a tap Myriad Landscape. I then equip the Instigator copy with the Skull Clamp, and during my end step, I sacrifice it and draw 2 and pass to Max. Max draws for turn and ticks up his sagas. He then plays Death in Heaven and mills Arja for 2, and then exiles Arja's graveyard. He then activates a Sanctum Weaver for 5 mana and uses it to activate Urza Saga, making a Construct token, and then casting a Hex Parasite. He then loses 2 life to activate the Parasite's Phyrexian mana ability, and removes a counter from the Birth of Meletis. He passes after that. Mathieu's got a Plains for turn, and casts Curiosity on Y'shtola. Going to combat, Matt swings Y'shtola at Arja, who takes the hit for 2, and Mathieu gets a draw card from Curiosity. He ships it after that. Arja's main phase has him playing an Arid Mesa, sacrificing it and losing 1 for a Mountain. He then swings Lock at Mac. Unfortunately for Arja, we mill no lands, but Arja does hit a Bastion of Remembrance, which he's able to cast. He makes a token, and then follows up with a Vengeful Blood Witch. Once that's done, he casts Gamble. I draw and equip the Skull Clamp onto the Morbid Opportunist, and then cast... I then sacrifice the Opportunist to draw 3 as it comes in, and I get a Sephiroth trigger to drain Arja for 1. I then play a Wayfarer's Bauble and pass. During my end step, Mathieu casts Curtain's Call, targeting the Hex Parasite and the Viscera Seer, which also triggers Y'shtola and drains us for 2. Arja sacrifices the Putrid Goblin in response, draining his opponents for 1 because of the Bastion, and Mathieu an extra 1 from the Blood Witch, and then sacrifices the Viscera Seer for the same drains. I also get to do some draining with Sephiroth, and we then continue the rest of the triggers, with Y'shtola drawing Mathieu a card, and Sephiroth flip because 4 creatures hit the graveyard, and I get a Sephiroth emblem. Max mills to the search, draws for turn, and then ticks up his sagas in his main phase. He makes another construct off the Urza Saga before sacrificing it, and mills me for 2 and exiles my graveyard with Death in Heaven. The Sanctum Weaver also floats some mana before the Urza Saga goes away, and Max then plays a Karn's Bastion. Using some of the floating mana, Max is then able to cast an Estrid's Invocation, and has it come in as a copy of the Bastion Remembrance. This makes him a soldier token, and he then activates the Karn's Bastion to proliferate. And with Death in Heaven popping off, he gets a ton of Cybermen tokens that are face-down creatures. Max then goes to combat. He swings a construct at Mathieu, who takes the hit, and Matt then draws from Y'shtola during the end step as Max passes turn. Matt draws and swings Y'shtola at Arja again, who blocks with a soldier token. This has Mathieu getting drained from the Bastion and for the extra 1, while Sephiroth's emblem drains Max for an extra 1. In his post-combat main phase, Mathieu then plays Sheoldred, the Apocalypse, and passes. Arja draws and takes 2 from Sheoldred, and main phase casts an Austere Command, picking the modes of mana value 4 or greater and artifacts. This has Mathieu responding with Dawn's Truce and gifts me a card, but unfortunately gets taken out from all the drains off of Max's Bastions and Arja's Bastions and Vengeful Witch's trigger, and I send my emblem triggers at Arja, who drops to 4. He then goes to combat and swings Lock at me and hits a land off the mill to get a treasure token. I then take the hit. After that, Arja casts Reanimate, bringing back my Plaguecrafter and losing 3, and with the Plaguecrafter forcing everyone to sacrifice a creature, I get 3 Sephiroth emblem triggers, putting 1 on him to take him out and drain Max for 2. The turn then passes to me. I play a Cabal Stronghold for turn and cast a Merciless Executioner to clear the board. I get more drains. I then cast a Woe Strider, making a Goat token, and pass. Max mills off the search for Escanta, and is then able to flip it, and draws. He then plays a Plains for turn, and follows up by casting Gen, and passes to me. I draw and play a tapped Dakmor Salvage, and then sacrifice the Myriad Landscape. I follow it up by casting Swift End, targeting Gen, and take 2, and drain Max for 1, and then hit Max for another 3 as I swing the Woe Strider at him. I then pass turn. Max just draws and suspends a Resurgent Belief and passes. I draw for turn and then cast from exile the Murderous Rider, and then cast Sephiroth. And Max responds with a Path to Exile, taking out Sephiroth. And I go to combat and hit Max for another 3 from the Woe Strider, and pass turn. During my end step, Max activates Azcanta, and reveals the Apprentice's Folly to put to hand. Max takes down a Resurgence Belief during his upkeep, and draws. He then shocks in Steam Vents, and follows up by recasting Terra, milling 5, and keeping and revealing Elspeth Conquers Death. I draw, and pay 2 for Night's Whisper, losing 2 and drawing 2, and then play a Swamp. I then cast Xenos Ygalvis, and unfortunately misread the card so it doesn't do exactly what I thought, and target Terra. With the ability on the stack, I sacrifice the Goat to scry 1, and drain Max for 1. And the Woe Strider is then taken out by Xenos' trigger, draining him again. I then pass, with once more Max activating Azcanta, and this time gets to reveal Buried in the Garden. Max's upkeep has him removing the final counter from Resurgent Belief, and he gets back all of his enchantments. He also gets a bunch of tokens off the Overlord of the Mistmoors coming in, and exiles my graveyard with Death in Heaven, and then gets a land off Fenrir, and an angel off Furia's Retribution. He then casts Elspeth Conquers Death in his main phase, exiling Xenos. He follows up by paying 4 mana to transform Heliod. Going to combat, Max then hits me for 4 with Terra, and passes. Facing some pretty insurmountable odds, I draw for turn, and then cast No Mercy to hopefully stem the tide. I follow up by casting Dark Ritual, making 3 black mana, and follow up with a Bitter Blossom. I then finish things off with Tergrid, and I pass to Max. Max draws and spends some time ticking up his sagas. He makes a wall of the Birth of Meletis, mills me for 2 and exiles my graveyard with the Death in Heaven, and then casts the Apprentice's Folly he'd revealed earlier. This has Max copying the Overlord of Mistmoors, and makes 2 more tokens, and then taps the Sanctum Weaver for 11 mana. He uses that to transform Terra, and as she transforms, makes a copy of the Overlord again. He then proliferates with Karn's Bastion, and copies the Overlord yet again. He also proliferates the Elspeth Conquers Death to get back the Hex Parasite, and the Birth of Meletis to gain 2. He also finishes Death in Heaven, getting a bunch of Cybermen again. Going to combat, Max sends his Overlord copies at me, as well as his Angel token and Heliod. I block an Overlord with Tergrid, and take the rest. No Mercy takes the rest of the creatures out, and I drain Max, and he passes. I draw, but with nothing to stop the onslaught of tokens, I know when I'm beat, and scoop it up. Game review time. So yep, more Final Fantasy Commanders. I'm really enjoying the set, but that's probably because I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. That being said, hopefully using that clip of Sephiroth does not get me demonetized, and yeah, I think the decks all did really well. Sephiroth drained, Celes almost comboed off, Y'shtola was just a pain in the butt, and Terra milled and then brought enchantments back, and then made copies of them. It was sweet to see. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.